Conflicts of interest. Under the Government Ethics Act, a public servant cannot make, participate in making, or seek to influence government decisions in which they have a financial interest. The 5 categories of financial interests include real property, sources of income, business investments, employment or management, gifts, personal finances. See FPPC Fact Sheet Recognizing Conflicts of Interest. Real property. Your real property counts as a financial interest if it is within 2 miles of Oakland city limits and your interest in the property is $2,000 or more. Property in which you rent on a month-to-month basis does not count as a financial interest. Further, existence of a financial interest may trigger a conflict of interest in a government decision if the financial interest is reasonably foreseeable and material. These standards are defined in state law and require a detailed legal analysis based on the facts of your situation. If there is any possibility that you might have a financial interest in making, participating in making, or influencing a decision, contact the PEC or FPPC for advice in advance of your participation in that decision. Sources of income. You have financial interest in any source of income of $500 or more. It includes your wages and salary, interest payments, dividends, profits from businesses you own in whole or in part. It includes money received from rental properties you own. It also includes money from consulting work or secondary employment. Business investments, employment, or management. Investments include stock and business ownership. You can have a financial interest in a business entity in the following ways. 1. If the entity does business in Oakland and you have an investment of $2,000 or more. 2. If the entity does business in Oakland and you are a director, partner, manager, officer, trustee, or employee of that entity. Gifts. A source of gifts promised or received of more than the gift limit received in the last 12 months. Personal finances. The income, assets, and expenses of your immediate family count as your financial interests. Immediate family includes your spouse and dependent children. Gifts received and investments made by your spouse are also considered personal finances. What is considered a governmental decision? A governmental decision includes, among other things, taking any action, appointing someone to a city office or position, committing your department to a course of action, entering into a contract, or voting on a matter. What does it mean to make, participate in making, or seek to influence a governmental decision? Participate in making can mean negotiating, providing advice, or preparing recommendations for the decision maker. Seek to influence means using your position to try to affect the outcome of the decision, such as by communicating with your supervisor or members of your board, commission, or council. What happens if you have a conflict? You must abstain from any involvement in a decision-making process affecting a financial interest. You must avoid not only any role in the final decision, but also in all of the discussions and planning leading up to the final decision. To avoid being involved in a decision, you should take the following steps. Do not discuss the matter with or influence staff or colleagues. Publicly state the nature of the conflict at the meeting if applicable. And if you're an elected official, leave the room. Additional conflicts rules specific to contracting. A public servant may not make or participate in making a contract in which he or she has a financial interest. Financial interest exists if there is any potential for the public servant to recognize a financial gain or if the interest causes the public servant to have divided loyalties. Section 1090 violations can lead to serious civil and criminal consequences, including up to a $5,000 fine and/or imprisonment and a lifetime bar from holding office in California. Section 1090 is complex. Contact the PEC for advice. Examples of violations. The city's procurement officer recommends that a contract be awarded to a company that employs the procurement officer part-time. A member of a city board or commission is the CEO of a company seeking a contract for services from that board, and the board member votes on the award of that contract. And note, if there is a contract conflict of interest issue, the entire governing body is precluded from entering into the contract. This is Tyra. Tyra is a member of the Planning Commission. In her private capacity, she also works as a consultant to restaurants. Less than 1 year ago, Pete's Pizza, a popular restaurant chain, paid Tyra $500 to help figure out a sustainable location for their new restaurant. Pete's Pizza was pleased with the location, but to open at that location, the company required the Planning Commission's approval of a permit. Last week, Tyra learned that the Planning Commission would be voting on Pete's Pizza's permit. Can Tyra vote? That is correct. Because Pete's Pizza is a source of income for her, Tyra cannot make any governmental decisions about that company. Let's assume that Tyra wasn't the one who did the consulting work for Pete's Pizza, but her husband Joseph did. Joseph was paid $1,000 to help Pete's Pizza find the perfect Oakland location. Can Tyra vote on the permit? That's correct. Income includes any community property interest in the income of a public servant's spouse. Therefore, Tyra's community property share of Joseph's $1,000 income from Pete's Pizza is $500. Let's change the hypothetical again. Assume that neither Tyra nor any immediate family did consulting work for Pete's Pizza, but that she owned stock in Pete's Pizza. Could she vote on the permit application? That is correct. She could vote, but since Pete's Pizza operates in Oakland, her investment must be less than $2,000 in order to avoid Pete's Pizza becoming a financial interest.